Mr. Speaker, I rise to take this opportunity to address the Honorable House in order to clarify some elements of the recent reduction in electricity rates by the regulatory authority, the RA. The RA has published this report on the decision and order resulting from their 2021 electricity retail tariff review, dated the 13th of May, 2021. The new rates, effective on the 1st of June, are lower than those set last year, which are in turn lower than those in 2019. The most dynamic difference is in the lowest tier of use, which started at 15.75 cents per kilowatt hour, decreased to 12.81 cents in 2020, and has now been set at 12.53 cents. The rate applies to the first 250 kilowatt hours of use. The second tier for electricity use of more than 251 kilowatt hours and up to 700 kilowatt hours started at 24 cents per kilowatt hour in 2019, dropped to 21.72 cents in 2020, and reduced again to 21.24 cents in the new revised tariff. These are not the only reductions made, Mr. Speaker. The facilities charges, the tariff charge for the fixed cost of bringing electricity to customers, has also decreased by 3.6% from that which was set last year. A customer using 600 kilowatt hours per month should expect to pay $143.72 for energy. That is the kilowatt hours used in the months to come. Whereas in 2019, they would have paid $166.33, and up until now, $147.51.51. I will provide honorable members with copies of some tables prepared by the RA to illustrate what the real impact is to an average customer. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, businesses will see a reduction in rates varying between 1.4 to 1.8%. This is meaningful in these challenging economic times. Mr. Speaker, I remind the Honorable House that electricity tariffs can only be changed by the regulatory authority, regardless of what any representations or assertions made by any other party in any other form. The responsibility of the minister, as defined by the Electricity Act 2018, is to provide policy direction when necessary. And I'm going to repeat that sentence so that it is clear the role that the minister and the government plays. The responsibility of the minister, as defined by the Electricity Act 2016, is to provide policy direction when necessary. It is worth noting that existing policy, particularly as expressed in Section 6 of the Act, specifically states that the RA's duty is in part, and I quote, to protect the interests of end users with respect to prices and affordability and the adequacy, reliability, and quality of electricity service, end quote. These new rates resulting from this year's rate review reflect the purpose and, in fact, reflect the commitment of the 2020 speech to the throne. The RA is independent in respect of its processes and its decisions, but, like all regulators, is bound by the covenant of policy as defined by the Act. Mr. Speaker, while these reductions are welcome news on the backdrop of an increasingly expensive cost of living, it is vital to recognize the role that fuel costs play in our electricity bills. The RA strives to ensure that those costs are allocated fairly to all customers, and that those costs reflect the true cost of fuel. For the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, the utility makes no profit on the importation of fuels. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, with this step in the right direction for energy costs, it is perhaps more important now than ever to increase our uptake of renewable energy so that fuel costs can be reduced or eliminated. With more renewable energy comes less fossil fuel, which accounts for a good portion of every electricity bill. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we must simultaneously focus on encouraging energy efficiency, which will help control all energy costs. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.